So today we're going to talk a little bit about Metasploit. Metasploit comes in an open source penetration framework and also in a pro framework for people who do this for a living, essentially. But there's many different tools, libraries, interfaces, and modules within Metasploit, so you can configure and adapt various exploit modules and then pair that with a payload. Now, a payload is the actual code that is responsible for getting into the system and getting to a system's assets or vulnerabilities. And you can launch at the target system from the given payload. There's a lot of different databases. There's hundreds or even thousands of exploits and many different payload options. So if you were to begin a Metasploit penetration test, you would first do information gathering phase. You would integrate various different reconnaissance tools. You could use Nmap, SNMP scanning, Windows patch enumeration, and Nessus, and you can find vulnerable spots in the system via the aforementioned applications. Once you know that weakness, once you've identified it, you can exploit and attack with the payload to penetrate weaknesses in the so-called armor, right? So understand that Metasploit, it can be used by ethical hackers and by hackers who are operating outside the legal framework. But it's excellent practice to start with framework, which is free. And then if you build enough skills and you want to enter into the professional arena, then taking a look at the Metasploit Pro might be an option for you. So if that initial exploit or initial attack is successful and the payload is properly downloaded into the particular target, you can then get the shell to interact with the payload unbeknownst to the user. And so there's many different payloads that can accomplish this. Keep in mind some of the newer software that aren't, or anti-malware that aren't signature-based only, may be able to detect these exploits. So don't expect that even if you're operating in ethical hacking, and I have to do the disclaimer here, don't do anything illegal. Don't use Metasploit to attack somebody's computer or a company or a business or somebody you know or somebody you don't like, let's say. Always work within virtual machines or train on TryHackMe or RangeForce or any other number of medium that train in Metasploit in a legal framework and an ethical framework. So once you're on the target machine and Metasploit has applied various exploitation tools, you get privilege escalation. What is privilege escalation? That means you now have more permissions, you have more access to higher level information, higher level logins, files, data, software, and so forth. And you can do like the packet sniffing, pass the hash, keyloggers, screen capture, and pivoting tools to start collecting information from the target machine and or end users. You can also set up a backdoor, a Trojan horse, or other type of mechanism. So when the target machine gets rebooted, let's say the machine's operating a little slow, they think maybe something's wrong, they reboot it. Now your backdoor is in place through the Metasploit. So generally speaking, Metasploit is one of the most robust tools that any network security professional or pen tester can use, and you can use it to test, patch various installations. So when a company has one or more vendors and they have consultants, Metasploit is a great way to test the claims made by the IT professionals on staff or by the vendors to make sure that there aren't major holes or things that need to be patched that the vendors or other professionals missed. So by using Metasploit in a context-relevant way, you can imitate current pen testing and attacks that are done by external hackers who have bad purposes, right? Wrongdoers, so to speak. So a lot of different organizations and a lot of different individuals use Metasploit. Again, using the free version open source is not only useful for training, but it can actually be useful in your first step if you're an entry-level pen tester or a junior pen tester. Using Metasploit Pro has additional advantages, but it should not be stepped into until you feel like you're ready. So some of the benefits is that it's open source and constantly being developed and updated. It's actually preferred to some of the high priced penetration testing tools that are out there. It's extremely easy to use. I train with it, and I show others how to use it as well. And you can switch between payloads very easily. So let's say one payload is completely detected or not effective at getting to its target, then you can switch to a different payload and try that out. Also, as I mentioned, you can put a backdoor in once you're in the target area, so if they reboot, the Trojan or backdoor will remain. You have a GUI or GUI for the Pro version, but the free version uses a command line. I do recommend you get to know Linux. You can use Kali Linux or some other Linux application, because coding within Linux for Metasploit not only makes it more effective, but it also teaches you another skill. You can use a wide variety of red team and pen testing tools, as well as blue team and cyber defense tools. So that was just a little bit about Metasploit. We're going to get into more detail later, and I'll have a future tutorial. But this was just a general overview to give you a few benefits of Metasploit, what it is, and how it can be used. Thank you.